Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Heather.
And this is Confidence Through Cabaret, the podcast. And today we are super excited because we get to welcome an amazing nutrition specialist of Nourishing Nutrition and, of course, Clean Eating to Tame Inflammation, her incredible group on Facebook, the wonderful Eleanor Duelley. Hey, Eleanor, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure.
We're excited. We are so excited. So, I mean, because we talk a lot about, body and accepting our body, and we're just so excited to talk to you because I think it can be a bit of a taboo subject.
Yes.
Yeah, it's there's unfortunately a lot of shame around body image, which I know you guys deal with a lot, and nutrition, because people, think that they should know this already or they should be doing it already. And, the reality is it's very complicated, and it's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I need some help. And so that's what I try to bring to the forefront for people.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
So, what would you like viewers to know about you?
Let's see. Well, I am a nutritionist, and I help people, tap into their intuition and figure out what their bodies are really asking for. And, it's not always weight loss, although that's what people go to very quickly. They think, oh, nutrition, it's weight loss, I'm going to be on a diet. And so I just want to let the world know it's about being healthy, and it's about loving and feeling wonderful in your body. And whatever weight that is, whatever, conditions or diseases or things that happen to you, it's not shameful. It's about opening up and finding the resources you can so that you can feel your best.
Wow.
And this is one of the reasons that we were really excited to be speaking to you today, because so many of the sort of the nutritional coaches and people who speak on nutrition are often very much talking about like fad diets and detoxing and losing weight and all of this stuff. And I love the fact that your whole practice is not about shaming people into thinking about their bodies in another negative way. And certainly that's very aligned to Confidence Through Cabaret. We're not about that. How did you get started in this work?
Well, I used to be I still am, but I used to practice as a personal trainer and group fitness instructor. I lived in a small town, and we had a gym that I kind of get to know everybody. And I just kept thinking, because I was raised on the thought that if you work out harder and you work out longer and you give it your all the time, that you're going to be at that place you want to be, whether it's super strong or super fit or super slim. And I just couldn't get there. I had 3 kids at home. I was at the gym every day. I had the childcare. I could not figure it out, and I didn't feel good. I was exhausted. I was not sleeping well. And the missing piece was I wasn't nourishing my body.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I would like get the calories lower, and I would get the carbs lower, and I would get the sugar. I would do everything that the magazines were telling me, that the doctors on TV that were, for diets and selling pills and shakes. And I just took a step back, and I'm like, this can't be right. I shouldn't have to eat, 2 shakes a day and broccoli for dinner. Like, it just doesn't feel good. And if that's the solution, I don't want it.
Right.
And so I slowly, I started taking courses, and I started getting more interested in the actual biochemistry of the body and why we need carbs in our lives, how much fat is appropriate in our lives. And then I started living it. And then I started thinking, like, I've got to tell everybody I know that they don't have to live this diet culture in order to feel healthy and to gain the confidence in, like, I know what to eat when I go to a restaurant, because that's very, intimidating. So many people choose to not eat because they don't know what to eat. And if they make a mistake, they're going to feel like a failure. Yeah. And so my mission is to erase that culture and to tell people, trust yourself, because not a lot of people do right now.
No. And do you think, like, because I think that's really interesting. I was kind of wondering, where do you think that, and this may be a very large question that I'm asking. I have a habit of doing this, going, this is a very simple question. It's
Yeah.
but where, like, I think there's often an expectation that we all understand immediately what our body needs, how it needs it, and all of this stuff. And as you say, it's made really exclusive. Where do you think that pressure comes from?
Um, I would say, we all have different upbringings. We all are different socioeconomical,
Right.
classifications. Some people grew up with lots of fresh vegetables and anything at their fingertips. And some people lived on canned, tinned foods their whole life until they became an adult. So for somebody to make a sweeping, generalization of you need 1,200 calories and that's it. Well, we all know 1,200 calories of cookies is not the same 1,200 calories of vegetables and chicken. So for me, once I stopped listening to these rules that I just kept saying, well, why? Well, why? And when you start asking those questions, not only of yourself and your body, but of your doctors, of your practitioners, of anybody you interact with, and they either don't know the answer or they give you an answer that's not good enough for you,
Right.
then that's when you need to seek the providers and the practitioners that give you the answers that feel good. They might not be what you want to do, but they feel good because they're true and they're honest and they're working with your body, not against it. That's the diet culture, is working against your body and forcing it to do things that don't feel right. But if it's going to get me the results, I'll do it. And that's where we fall into this problem, the shame, the guilt, the I don't know what to do, the lack of confidence. Like that's where that lives. And I am tired of that culture.
Yeah, I spent years, I mean, literally years, trying to figure out what was wrong with my body, because I kept gaining weight, and they kept, and I would go to the doctor, and they would say, keep a food diary, and then they'd say, well, you're lying to yourself, and I knew I wasn't.
Yeah.
I absolutely knew I wasn't. I was tested for just about everything you can name. I had very bad rosacea, so I had antibiotics and topical creams. I had counseling because they said I was depressed because I had all kinds of mood things. I was tested for everything, including chlamydia, which was bizarre because I was in a
Yeah.
I was in a long-term marriage, so that was that was an interesting conversation when I went home and went, "Do you want to explain to me why I'm having this test?" Um, I literally I had so many symptoms, and I knew food wasn't the thing. But when you just rely on, here we talk about it, like your family doctor,
Yeah.
um, you know, all of it, thank goodness I became so expensive in all these different tests and interventions. I was, costing them a fortune with it. And eventually one of the partners of the surgery said, you know what, you actually probably have a thyroid thing. It's the only thing we haven't tested. And I knew that I was like, I tried the boiled cabbage. I tried the one chocolate bar a day thing. I mean, that was an interesting thing. Yeah. Because I knew that like I had to eat something and I had to keep it under the calories, and I couldn't do it, and nothing was working. I tried literally everything. And then it was simply, oh yeah, your thyroid's wrong. Sorry. And that was a 2 to 3 year journey.
Yeah. And you're a lucky one,
Mm.
because some of the clients that come to me have been decades been told that the symptoms, you're just complaining. It's very the culture of mansplaining, not necessarily a man, but the condescension and the shame and the like, you should be quiet and you should just be happy with what you have. That culture is appalling. And
Yeah.
especially in the United States, where we don't have free healthcare, these people are passed around and given misdiagnosis, which I understand that happens. I'm not blaming test results, but I'm blaming and I'm holding accountable the judgment of somebody standing up for themselves and then getting beat back down because they're not believed.
Yeah.
Because there's no place for that.
No,
Um,
no. And I think it's interesting because you know, if you really tune into your body, which we'll talk about now, that's when you start to go, actually, this is what I need. And this is, you know, and it's not all of the interventions that I'm being given as a
Yeah.
tick box exercise.
yeah.
So so take us through how you work with people.
So yeah, I ask a lot of questions. I don't know how it is in your GP culture, but here you might get three, maybe 5 minutes
Mhm.
talking with a practitioner, and then they hand you the prescription pad, and you're on your way.
So much.
And so many people come to me on medications that either overlap, meaning there's interactions that haven't, because they have 2 or 3 different practitioners that don't talk to each other.
Right.
Again, that's not the fault of every single practitioner, but it's a responsibility that I take to take in all of the information. It takes a long time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's my job. But in order for me to, I call it peeling back the onion. I take a step back because people come and say, I want to lose weight. I said, okay, but there's about 10 things that we're going to talk about before we even talk about that. Because your gut dysbiosis is a big deal. If you've been on antibiotics, even as a child, even, you know, in your teens and 20s, if you've been on any sort of antibiotic, your gut health is compromised. It doesn't mean it can't be fixed. It doesn't mean the end of the world. It just means you need to focus.
Mm.
You need to eat nourishing foods that balance the gut bacteria. So, you know, hormonal, thyroid, any autoimmune issues, RA, all of these things, you know, there's no person looking at weight loss isn't asking you about your autoimmune condition, but they should be.
Yeah.
And so I take painstakingly long time, not really a long time. I do the research. I check the boxes of, have I asked about the sleep? Have I asked about your bowel movements? That is a big deal, big deal. And people just sort of like think that it's, oh, I don't really need to share. You need to share, because the toxicity of your body and the state that you are in tells me the whole story.
Right.
So that's how I work with people. I don't give them 3 minutes to tell me their top symptoms and then give them a band-aid, because you're going to be back in the office next week with
Yeah.
a different. So that's kind of a long way of saying, I take the time to ask as many questions as I can to get the information that I need to peel back that onion.
Mm.
Amazing.
How much does sleep come into it?
Huge. Oh my goodness. It's funny you say that, because that's one of the pillars that I have saying bowel movements. Sleep is huge, because that's when our liver gets to detox our body. Deep detox. And if our sleep is interrupted, if we've had something during the day, whether it's caffeine, whether it's alcohol, whether it's foods that don't agree with us, that takes up precious detoxing time away from the liver. That's just one piece of it. You know, obviously repair and restore. So if you're suffering from an inflammatory disease or any condition, that's your body's downtime. And if it doesn't get it, it just exasperates the situation. So sleep is hugely important. And one thing I read this week, which is it comes into play, is blood sugar regulation. So if anybody you know is pre-diabetic or they have blood sugar regulation issues, if you don't sleep for, I think it's 3 days, I think it's 72 to 96 hours. I'm not saying up constantly, but if you're an insomniac or you have troubles really getting to sleep, by the 4th day, your blood sugar you have the blood sugar equivalent to somebody with diabetes in just 4 days.
Wow.
Again, this can be fixed, this can be supported, but over time, there's people going to get medications on how to sleep. But the question that we should ask is, why aren't you sleeping?
Yeah.
Because that's a natural response. So, you know, the next time you get a headache or the next time you have an ache, you know, ask yourself, why do I have the ache? Not, what can I do to get rid of this ache?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I have a lot going on mentally and emotionally right now, but my my body's very achy and I'm not doing exercise, which is really bizarre for me. So for over 2 weeks now, I haven't done anything, and and I don't want to because I'm achy. And that's all kind of, it's a vicious circle, isn't it? Because
and you're listening to your body.
yeah. And so, but we
So don't discredit that, you know?
And yet I sort of go, yeah, but I exercise. I should be exercising because that's my downtime. And you know, and then this gets so involved, the internal voice, I mean, and it stops us from following our intuition.
Yeah,
it does, and it forces us to push outside. And it's taken me years, and I work on it every day. Of my body's not ready to go back and lift weights. I love lifting weights. I love working out, but the winter months, I cannot do it.
right.
My body needs to hibernate and restore, because if I do it, even though my mind is telling me, oh, you're lazy, oh, get out of bed, all of that negative talk, if I do it, I end up getting sick or injured a few weeks later. I break out. I have all of these stress responses that to normal people just look like, oh, it's a little bit of acne. Oh, it's a little bit, you just need a nap. No, I didn't listen to my body, and my body is basically telling me, I want you to listen.
Yeah.
And sorry.
Yeah.
Jumping over ourselves to get these questions. I did just want to return to something you mentioned earlier about the fact that very often, so many women and femme presenting people really struggle to get heard, particularly by male doctors. How much do you think how many of your clients probably would you say are put off by misogyny, and how much of a role do you think misogyny plays into this?
I mean, I'm not a professional speaker or researcher on this topic, so I don't want my words to get misconstrued as being fact. I can just weigh in on my opinion, which is working with clients. And I've read several books. I've had clients come to me telling me stories that their doctors don't listen to them, or they get thrown off. So I know it exists. I've worked with practitioners that have been like that and subsequently quit when I made my voice known and it wasn't appreciated. So I know it's there. And my response is just open arms of, I will listen. I won't judge. I will do my best to make you feel better. And those people, maybe they're doing their best too, but there's no place for misogyny and judgment when it comes to health, wellness, and taking care of yourself. And I truly believe that. And I just hope and pray that those people that get brushed off or get mentally abused or emotionally, verbally abused, that they seek out the people that they know that are going to help them.
Yeah, and I think, you know, in fairness, you can only educate. Let's say, I mean, I don't want this to turn into a man hating thing at all. but I think, you know, in fairness, you can only intellectually understand the hormones involved in menstrual cycles, involved in what is the word I'm looking for?
Menopause.
Menopause. Thank you. I was going to go with masturbation, but I knew that was wrong.
I think that's on both sides.
But, you know, I mean, you can only intellectually understand it if you don't have that firsthand experience of it.
Yes and no, because you know, I'm a woman. I haven't experienced menopause, but I feel that I could help nutritionally. Speak to that. I've had 3 children, but I don't feel qualified to talk about, you know, giving birth in a medical perspective. So there's an overlap there because, you know, mental health doctors, maybe they haven't suffered with schizophrenia, but they know how to help treat it. So there is an overlap there for sure. I never understood when I was a teen going to a gynecologist, I never understood why they were men. I just never, but my mom would take me to the office and I would go, you know, and I just would show up for the appointment. And so it never made sense to me, but I never questioned it either.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's that desire of wanting to, connect. So in terms of, so blood sugar, and then let's say the hormonal imbalance, if we're particularly, so I know that there's hormones, men have hormones as well, but particularly with women, which is very
female hormones. Yeah.
Yeah. How related is blood sugar and hormones in your experience?
Oh, it's everything is so interrelated, everything, because the food you eat influences your digestion and how the minerals and vitamins get absorbed into your blood. And depending on the levels of that, your thyroid can produce hormones that maybe you need more calcium to build, strong bones. Maybe you need less. Maybe, and so, especially with women, magnesium and hormone, our pathways in our body have, they turn one thing into another thing into another thing. But in order for them to do that, along the way, they need help from those minerals. Right. So if the vitamins and minerals are lacking, or there's toxicity, of course, but that's not quite as common. If they're deficient or they're not the right amounts, then your body has to make do with what it has. Your body is always going to prioritize your heart beating, your lungs working, and your brain functioning. It's always going to prioritize that to keep you alive. And so sometimes that means your body has to cannibalize itself. If it finds nutrient electrolytes, if it can find water in your brain and your muscles and your colon because you're dehydrated, it's going to pull that water out, leading to headaches, muscle spasms, or Charlie horses, or constipation. Like, that's why it happens, because your body's incredibly great at adapting. So that's where nutrition comes in, because if we can peel back that onion, take like 3 steps back, and I go, oh, you have a zinc deficiency. That's gonna influence your hormones next week. That's gonna influence your menstrual cycle. That's gonna influence, and for men, it's very similar. It's gonna, how thick your hair grows, or how, anything that happens in our body is under the influence of how we've nourished it.
Okay, so let's say that I'm working with you and you help me figure out, and actually probably all of those things. I'm sitting there going, yeah, pretty much all of that for me. I'm sitting here with my bottle of water that is unopened. Anyway,
open it.
I know, and I actually was told by the doctor last week. I was told off. So, but because it is a genuinely serious thing, and but so let's say, so I'm working with you, and you help me figure out all of my deficiencies and how I'm going to get those, and so on. Then how do you maintain that? Like, I would have to be with you for life, because of course our body's going to change. Like, as soon as I get all the zinc I need, or all the hydration I need, and the sleep I need, then something else is going to appear. I mean, this is going to go on for, like, we're just going to be joined at the hip for life.
Well, as much as I would love that.
Oh, Eleanor, you are so lovely.
Think about this. Think about this. What you just said is a lack of confidence in you understanding your body, what it needs, and how to find resources. And so what I challenge people to do, although it's not the best marketing strategy for me to keep clients the rest of their lives, 90 days, if you give me 90 days, I will teach you. I will show you how to pick yourself up when you fall. I will show you, and if I don't know, we will work it out together. So you're at the very least in a place where you feel better about the confidence of, I don't know what to eat at a restaurant. I'm going to a different restaurant tonight. It's not about memorizing, right? It's about understanding and trusting yourself. And that's the missing piece with the current medical and diet system, because you trust your doctor, but you don't ask why, generally.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's funny that we're talking about confidence with Cabaret, and it's so prevalent in ourselves of, well, I couldn't possibly take this on for the rest of my life. Yet I don't know all the answers either, but I'm a few steps ahead, and I want to help you get to where I am, because I'm going to be further down next time.
Right.
that
And
kind of thing.
so you kind of not only look at where are you at and how to repair yourself now, but how to read yourself going forward.
And of course, I have returning clients after a year. They'll say, I need you back because I've fallen far. And I know that you're going to help me. So, I do establish those sort of, yeah, we all lose it a little bit. I have my own coaches and nutritionists. So, like, we all need that help.
Right.
But it's more about getting you set on the path. Like, you might be a little left, you might be a little right, but you're on the path with the basic guidelines, because for some reason we get so turned around and we don't even know up from down, but we just need someone to help us understand it and trust that that's what we're actually doing.
Yeah. And this is something for life. This isn't a diet course where
Yeah.
days
And that's what I tell people. I have a 90-day program, because generally that last month people are just checking in saying, I've got nothing to report, I'm good. And I love that, because that means it was so powerful. Then I have people like, I need an extra month because I'm not quite, or, I had something traumatic happen and it threw me.
Right.
Again, my arms are open and I'm like, okay, let's go back to square one. Maybe you moved and you're in a different environment, or you got a job that keeps you up all night. Like, we roll with the punches, but we got to throw away the excuses of, I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of this, because eventually you are going to have to do it. And it's going to be in a way where you're dealing with a disease, or you're dealing with something that is super serious. Not that it's not serious now, but life threatening.
Yeah.
Later on in life.
Yeah. So what tends to happen when we reduce the inflammation in our body and get ourselves on the right path?
That's the best. that's the mecca, because when you feel that, when you get solid 8 hours of sleep and you wake up productive and happy and energetic, and you're eating foods that are stimulating these feelings naturally all day long, you just feel in alignment. You feel in tune with nature. You have better relationships with your loved ones, with your kids, your spouse, your partners, whatever. You're just in a better, more connected place, because nothing is holding you down. It's not pushing on you. It's not making you want to unbutton your pants and just crawl into a hole. Right. All of that energy, think about all that energy you use to self-doubt, to say, I'm not good enough, to go, I'm going to go to work today, but I blah, blah, like all of that negativity takes up so much of your world. And if you shift it, not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like, you just start getting in a better place. And I mean, that's like the nirvana.
Yeah.
I'm afraid though that if I do all of those things, nobody will recognize me.
No, well,
they'll come with you. Maybe they'll come with you.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't even like to.
Well, there's a lot of people from my past that are like, you're a nutritionist? You used to be the party girl. You used to be this. You used to be that. And
right.
Again, there's no judgment. Like, anything we can do for ourselves to make us in a healthy, productive, safe way feel better. It doesn't have to be 0 to 180 degrees, right? It can be a shift. It can be, I'm going to drink more water for 2 weeks. That's it. I'm not going to work out. I'm still going to eat junk food. But if I drink more water, something will feel better.
Yeah.
And then you'll want more of it. You'll start going to the bathroom regularly, which maybe has been a big issue your whole life. It all works together. And I no longer worry about clients' outcomes, because it's not my job. My job is to guide them. And this is what I tell them when they come to me. You are doing the work. So if you're not prepared to do the work, I'm not your person, because you're not going to see results. So I'm hoping, as I adapt my business structure and, keep working with clients, that becomes like, that will weed out some of the, quick fixers and the fad diets. And I am not that. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. And it is a holistic piece. It is about, feeling better and feeling more mental clarity and so on. And I think then, if that makes you lose weight, fine. If it doesn't make you lose weight, fine. And but reducing inflammation is really different to losing weight necessarily.
Well, if we're talking weight, which I don't use as a measure, reducing inflammation you can lose 10 pounds of inflammation in a week just by drinking more water, cutting out junk food, and stop drinking alcohol. Like we all know this in the back of our head, but we're like, well, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, yeah.
But at some point we need to say, well, how inflamed am I willing to live forever? I'm not saying you have to do that forever. I'm saying release the inflammation, get to a healthy core, like a baseline, and then start trying things in your everyday life that might feel different, might feel, I usually drink coffee, but I'm drinking lemon water today. That's a little strange, but I feel so much better.
Right. And is there, just because I think that's really interesting. I was wondering, are there certain things, because sometimes we're really not aware of how these inflammations are showing up in our body. Are there ever like certain sort of checklists that you find that you can kind of go, well, if does this feel this way, or does this, is there something that can give people a kind of a gauge of what might be where inflammation might be playing a part into their daily sort of struggle with these things?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, in my Facebook group, which you mentioned at the beginning, it's called Clean Eating to Tame Inflammation. It's a group, and I'll put posts on there and I'll say, these are the top 10 things. How many do you have? And I used to be a 10 out of 10, and now I'm, 1 or 2. But, it's things like your joints are achy. You have a lot of headaches. You feel bad after you eat, you feel bloated, your stomach acid, you feel acidic in your throat, your bowel movements are way off, your mood swings are way off. I mean, it's like you said, it's things that we kind of dismiss.
Right.
But when you write them all down, or you see them in a list and you're like, I'm every single one of those things.
Right.
Then the light bulb goes off going, oh. Yeah, I can't just, take some, I don't know what you guys take, aspirin or painkillers. I can't just make this go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do in my group, it's a free group. So I offer a lot of information, but if you want to learn about you, then that's where I invite people to work with me. Because if I work with you one-on-one, I have the opportunity to dig deep. Right on the surface level is, let's drink more water together. Let's, clean up our diets. Let's get better sleep, like the basics. But, if you really are struggling, then this is the way that I think is best for you.
Yeah. So is there ever a point when you recommend that somebody be on a calorie limited diet?
So the way that I do calories, which again, I have to assess the person before I even mention that word.
Yeah.
Because I've had clients and I mistakenly have said, these are the calories appropriate for your body. And it sent them into a tailspin because they either, they weren't told that before. It's a very sensitive issue. But if we're looking at biochemistry, if we're looking at food intake and energy expenditures, then yes, your body technically needs to absorb less calories than it's expended if you want to lose weight.
Right.
That's the formula. Yeah. It's not a surprise. Where it goes haywire is calories are not equal. Right. So for somebody to say you need 1,200 calories, it's a fallacy, because there needs to be a lot more information. There needs to be 800 of them need to be carbohydrates, 400 of them need to be fats, whatever. That math doesn't add up, but you have to go the extra step. And so what I do, rather than saying your calorie limit is this, I provide meal plans, which are recipes, and there's photos, and it's like, for breakfast, have something like 1, 2, or 3. For lunch, have 1, 2, or 3. And this way it eliminates people going, well, I'm going to weigh this piece of chicken because it's probably 3 ounces, or it's, I've done all that.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help, because we get so wrapped around, craziness in our head that it's not helping.
Yeah.
So calorie restriction has its place, especially for people that are obese or they're struggling with, 50 or more pounds that they want to lose. It's necessary because we have to understand how much our body needs.
Mhm.
But I can tell you that 95% of my clients are not eating enough, which comes as the biggest shock of a lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, you could be overweight and feeling good in your body, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to feel better.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
doesn't have to mean about I need to be a size smaller or, I need to be this much on the scales. It could just be I want to feel better. I want to be able to concentrate longer. I want to be able to sleep better.
Right.
There are so many other benefits. And I think we all get really, kind of head up in this, what our ideal weight is. And
Yeah.
instead
I've thrown away the scale. And I truly, honestly, encourage that. Although there's some people that just, they're a slave to it. They have to do it. They have to see, and then they beat themselves up when it doesn't say what they want it to say.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's a healthy mindset.
No, it isn't. And I think, I think this is great timing because, certainly in the UK, we're still in lockdown.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about not only lockdown fatigue, but also about, the weight gain and then going back into the real world and what's it going to mean? And can I fit into my clothes? And I'm used to, living
Yeah.
in pajamas and, and so, or leggings. And so, I think a lot of people are really thinking about these things, and that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about your size or your weight. We're talking about how you feel in your body and how, and you deserve to feel good in your body, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling good begets confidence, right?
Right.
Like I used to look at people and go, oh my gosh, they must be so happy because they look like that. I did.
Yeah.
And I stopped myself from doing it now, going, oh, she's got it all together. She's this or she's that. And I want that. And I stop myself now and go, I don't know anything about them. All I know is that if I'm projecting that judgment of myself on them, then I need to work on that. I need to work on being okay with how I look in a swimsuit, even though I don't look like supermodels. I'm a mom of 3, and I have to be okay with that. And I'm really wrestling with that dichotomy of like healthy and how healthy looks to me.
Right.
So, you have to give yourself grace, and the comparison-itis, there's no place for that. There's no place for that in any of the things we do in your body, in your world, and in your stage. There's no comparison. You bring the gifts that you've been given to share with the world, no matter what they look like.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I truly, that's why I connected with you guys from the get-go, because we're all connected in that way. And it's truly wonderful when people get together and the synergy of it. I really feel aligned here. So
thank you.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
On that note, speaking of alignment, so we are very aligned. If you were, let's say, going to be on stage in a cabaret show, what prop would you want to have with you?
Oh, cabaret show. I don't know. What are some examples?
Well, you could have a piece of furniture like a chair. You could have, I like stockings or gloves. You could have a hat. You could have a bow. You could have a cane.
Could have a what?
You could have a cane.
Oh, a cane. Oh, I'm thinking.
I don't know. That's a good.
I don't know. I'm thinking like a boa or something. I can like shake my shoulders with. Maybe a hat. I don't know. I've never been on a stage in that way before. So probably a boa.
I love a hat. I love a hat because a hat you can. Yeah. Do you have a style of hat you like?
Well, I'm always wearing ball caps, but I don't think that would be appropriate.
Oh, yes,
I'm thinking,
it would.
Oh, yeah.
It would?
Yeah.
Okay, like the trucker hat. I got a few of those. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool because you can wear that with so many different ways of attitude, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There are no rules in Cabaret.
No.
Oh, okay. Then I'm in.
Okay. And what is your stage name?
Oh, oh, you should have given me this question before so I could have thought of it.
This is why we do it.
It's an intuition question, right?
Yeah.
It's like, who do I want to be? As in, like, what do I want people? But it's more like, what's talking to you?
Mm-hmm.
So I do have my alter ego, which I don't know. She might have a place on the stage. Her name is Connie, for confidence. And when I feel like I'm a bit wobbly, or a good example is we went skiing last week, and if I'm going down and I don't feel right, I'm scared, I think I'm gonna fall, I always just say, Connie, come and join me, and you know, it brings me back to like, oh, I'm not being me, I'm being her.
Love that.
In fact, have you ever heard of the amazing, there's an amazing drag performer who's become very successful in America called Love Connie, and she does she's great. She does she's a what's it called, like a health and fitness guru, and she's absolutely amazing. Love Connie is brilliant.
Okay, I'll have to look her up. I'm not super familiar with a lot of drag shows or cabaret, so I'm okay.
But
I'll follow. Is she on social media? Because I can follow her.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's just about your intuition, which is why I didn't want to ask you that question beforehand. Then you'll start constructing something.
Yeah.
Like, what is that intuition in you? What is that voice in you? What is that person that, you know? And that's where we started with Confidence Through Cabaret in our Facebook community, was an all caps challenge, and we talked about defining your character, avatar, persona. What is that, and what's your inner you talking about, and how do they want to come out and express? So I loved Connie.
And I think this year in particular, my word for the year is growth, and I don't mean just like in my business, but like in my own personal development of being confident, and even when, you know, the things on paper don't look the way that I want them to, I'm still confident in what I'm doing, and tapping into
nearly sneezing. Sorry. I was like, oh God, suddenly sneezing. Excuse me.
But tapping into that person I want to be. And I want to be Connie. I want to be walking around like owning the room, not in an ego way, but in a way that, like, if someone asks me a question, I want to give them the answer. I want to help them. I don't want to judge them. I want to check my ego at the door, but I want to be somebody that can provide support and help in any situation.
That's fabulous. Oh, I love Connie.
Yes.
Yes, Connie's fun.
Yeah, she is fun.
Favorite? Like, you might have big lessons, or, you know, the key message, but what's your favorite lesson that you ever learned?
Favorite lesson was stop judging myself.
Beautiful.
Which I recently, I'm talking a few weeks ago, did some journaling and meditation, and I've realized I've been projecting my judgments on other people, so that I can blame them for the way I feel about myself.
Right.
And
thank you.
That.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's pretty it's pretty deep, but I can't believe I've been carrying that around for 43 years. And not even knowing it, not even holding myself accountable.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
More connected. It's like inflammation. It's like when you let go of your emotional inflammation, you can see so many things and appreciate the gratitude and the gifts that the universe and all of them you're able to receive them. They might have been there, but you weren't open to receiving them.
Yeah. Oh, I really love that.
Okay. Emotional inflammation.
There we go. I just coined that right now.
You did. You fully did.
Love that. Oh my
I love that as well. And we will be jumping into your Facebook community talking about emotional inflammation.
There we go. I love it.
Right.
So that's fun. but it is so linked, and it is so, you know, that self-love piece is so key, and you have to feel deserving to go to that place of saying, actually going to try the water for a couple of weeks. Oh, sorry. I am actually fully gonna, well, I've also been told to, but I've already ignored it for a week. I was told a week ago. I'm still not doing it.
Well, today's the day.
I know, and I have a lot of cases from Costco, so I will. But but I think, you know, I think, you know, they're just so connected. And it's just so important what you're sharing, and we're all working on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the longest time, you know, going to school, getting the degrees, taking the classes, I thought that was all I needed. And then I did all of it. And I'm still looking around going, it feels like there's more. And that's when I was like, you know what, I need to do a lot of the internal work too, so that I can be relatable to people, so that they know I'm not judging them, and they know that I'm genuinely have their best interest in mind. And I'm able to connect on a deeper level.
Right.
It's
And
fantastic.
let's face it, if you think that you've learned all the lessons you need to learn in life, then it probably just means that you've closed yourself off to the lessons you need to learn.
You're very narrow-minded.
Yeah.
You never learn everything.
No.
That's why I'm always like secretly like, can I get another degree? Can I go back to school? Like, how much would it be to get my PhD? Like, my husband's like, stop. And
also questioning those things, like, you know, is it the information that you need, or the external validation of having that?
Yes.
You know, and for each of us, there would be a different motivator behind having a PhD or whatever.
It was self-validation for me
right.
forever. I mean, I've got a wall with degrees on that I'm like, I don't even know why I got that. I was told it's a good path. I joined the military at age 21. I was told that was a good thing to do.
Right.
And it just, I did it, and it's part of who I am, but that wasn't the path for me, and I knew it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, this is the thing that we've, you know, myself and Heather have talked about a lot, not just on this podcast, but in general, is that life is just a substantial series of journeys and learning lessons. And there's the whole point of this is not to learn one singular lesson. It's not to complete the journey. The point is to keep going as you and keep finding those new revelations, because there's always something new. There's another part of that, another layer of that onion to peel, as you say.
And I don't think you realize that until you're at like the age that we're at. Like, you know, you get through the young and the adult, you know, and then the teenage, and then the 20s, and like you get through that, and when you start really like, okay, you know, what am I doing here? How am I impacting people? Because before I didn't care. I didn't care if I made an impact. I'd help people if I could, but now it's more of a passion of, you know, it feels good to give. And I just I wasn't raised that way. I was raised in a scarcity mindset, a very you know, we have to, you know, scrimp and save and can't share, and just not that it was bad, but it was just not as enlightened as I feel, and as free as I feel now.
And your children are lucky because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have just one other, and I have just one other question for you, if you would indulge me. So,
oh, is it going to be hard?
No, I promise. I promise. Actually, it'll be incredibly hard. Where can we find you?
Oh, that one's easy. You can find me on Facebook. I hang out a lot in the Clean Eating to Tame Inflammation group. That's my free group where everybody's welcome to come in and learn and ask questions and be part of the community. I'm also on Instagram if you want to follow me. It's Nourishing Nutrition LLC. It's a picture of a little pineapple, so you'll see it if you type it in. But I'd love, you know, you guys to follow me, and for us to, you know, connect, and with anybody that's listening to this as well. You know, if you've connected with the message, it's a great opportunity to just further, you know, the things that you want to do.
Oh, we'll be following. Trust me. Trust and believe. We will be doing this.
We find people that we want to collaborate with, that you know, and that where it works, that the message is, you know, so aligned, And then we would always say to our community and anybody listening, like, go find the people that resonate, that do the work that you need to do or can help you. Don't struggle with it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that this isn't for me, or this, I don't connect with this, and moving to something that does.
Yeah.
I mean, there comes in a time in business where, clients will come and I'm like, you know what, I just don't think it's a good fit.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not, it's okay. I want you to find the fit that is going to, work for you.
Yes.
So it's really important to be okay with, like, this doesn't feel right, and moving to the next thing, rather than staying in a place, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship.
Sure.
If it feels bad, if it's toxic, if it makes you feel bad about yourself, it is not the place you need to be.
No.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
It's been awesome to speak to you today.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you so
This
much.
was lovely. Thank you guys. I mean, this is just as empowering for me, and as lovely for me as it was for you too.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today. Really, honestly, it's been such a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure hanging out and just getting to know you and talking through this whole process. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. Oh,
you're welcome.
So
thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. And so to everybody who's listening, please make sure to go out and check Nourishing Nutrition LLC on Instagram. Go hit up those groups. Go check everything out. This has been such an amazing chat with us today. Thank you so much, Eleanor, for joining us. And
you're welcome. Thank you.
Listening, my name is Ryan.
My name is Heather.
My name is Eleanor.
And this is Confidence Through Cabaret, reminding you that it is your body,
your world,
yours,
and your
stage.
stage.
Thank you, everybody. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.